Welcome back, guys. So today we're talking about the Neo Geo AES. Now, I know there's tons of ways we could play these games, be it through emulation, through something like the Raspberry Pi, or through FPGA implementation through something like the Mister project. But today we're focused on actual real hardware and a brand new plug-and-play HDMI solution for the system, which if you guys have already watched my previous video on the RAD2X, the Super Nintendo, the NES, the GameCube, the Nintendo 64, you know what you're in store for. But today, we're taking a look at the specific RAD2X made for the Neo Geo. I spent a lot of money trying to get my Neo Geo set up to be able to be played on modern televisions, buying an OSSC, HD Retrovision cables, and those are great solutions. Don't get it twisted. They can be pricey. They are multi-purpose. You can use these things for multiple devices. But for me, I do like having simple solutions that are just plug and play. I don't have a ton of cables lying around, coming out, octopusing all over the place. You guys know what I'm saying. So that's why I'm really been digging the RAD2X. So with the RAD2X and the Neo Geo, there is several versions of it. Supports the AES, the CD, the CDZ, and then there's several different ways to go about it. You can get the mono version, the stereo version. So keep that stuff in mind. Links will be in the description so you can find out more information if you're interested. But today, what I wanted to do is kind of showcase some footage, let you guys see what you would be getting yourselves in store for if you bought this $50 device. I know it's shipping to the US. It comes to around $70 or so. And with the other solutions out there, for example, the Retro Tink 2X, wonderful device. And that's what the RAD2X is powered by. It's powered by technology from the Retro Tink 2X. Really awesome stuff, but it's a little bit different. Has a lot of the same features, but with the plug-and-play nature, it's really something that I enjoy using. But you have to keep in mind, something like a Retro Tink 2X may be better suited to you if it makes sense. Like, how does it make sense? You're going to need stuff like, HD Retrovision component cables, but you can use this on, use the Retro Tink for multiple devices. Whereas the RAD2X, you have to use them system specific. Some of them are a little more compatible with other systems. The Neo Geo one, for example, it's pretty much just Neo Geo. Now, like the Retro Tink or the OSSC, as long as you have cables for the different systems you want to use it on, boom, you can get that line doubling action. You can get, all the different filters and whatnot through the OSSC for scan lines, going up to 5X, all that good stuff. For me, the OSSC is a wonderful device. I've had troubles with it a little bit in the past. Mainly, I can't record using it beyond like 2 or 3 times lines, so I don't really use it for recording purposes. But I would use it for my gameplay, on my own, where I'm just trying to have a little entertainment, a little me time and play some games. Because with that device in particular, the different TVs, there's going to be compatibility things there where certain things aren't going to be supported, certain line modes won't be supported and whatnot. And for me, a simple solution, just plug and play, boom. I've got line doubled action on these old school 2D retro games. That's good enough for me. So let's go ahead, take a look at some of this footage.
いざ尋常に1本目勝負水月お願いしはっと行くぞそうじゃはったわけがと行くぞそうじゃ行くぞはっ行くわ
Now, looking at that footage of Samurai Showdown 4, I know the first thing some people are going to say, What the hell's up with that flickering, dude? Well, it's not the cable, it's not the RAD2X, it's just the game. Samurai Showdown 4 and a few other games on the Neo Geo utilize this flickering trick to simulate transparency, so that's why some of the shadows and the life bars have that flickering effect. You'll see that in emulation as well of these games. Not the cable, it's just the way the games were designed. Now, if you played this game directly on a CRT, you wouldn't notice that because it was designed with that kind of monitor in use, right? But just wanted to showcase some more footage here. I have a bunch of games I recorded to let you guys get a good idea. I am really satisfied with the outcome of this. Having it being line doubled to 480p, you know, it has an anti-aliasing low-pass filter that's implemented into the RAD2X. A lot of cool little features, defaults to 4:3 aspect ratio, very low latency, about 53 microseconds, and these specs are for all the RAD2X cables for the different systems. They have one for the Genesis 1, Genesis 2, the PC Engine, the Nintendo systems, and Neo Geo, and Sega Saturn. There's a bunch of them. They all have the same specs as far as how they work, and you know, it's going to be a varying degree of results with the system depending upon if the system supports RGB. This mainly applies to the Nintendo RAD2X because some of those systems don't support RGB, but all the other consoles that there are RAD2X cables for do support RGB, so it's kind of a non-issue with those. And with, you know, the Neo Geo version, we're getting that line doubled, you know, up to 480p here, and the results are really good in my opinion. But there are tons of options out there like I've already discussed. This is just one of them. If your solution, it makes more sense to have something like an OSSC or a Retro Tink, by all means, go for it. For me, it's just a thing about convenience, having something I can just plug an HDMI cable into and get going, not having to fiddle around with power cables and component cables and that kind of stuff. So that's why this solution, I've been ranting and raving about it, because I really love it, especially with games that are 2D. Like, the results are fine to me. I don't need, you know, 5 times scaling on this stuff. 480p for me is great. You know, looking at Neo Geo, I'm fine with what I'm seeing. I know some people want more. They want, you know, all the way up to 720, 1080p, and I get it. That is great. But it's just going to depend on, you know, what your preference is, what suits you. And with those other options, they are great. I own them. I use them all the time. But when I seen the RAD2X announced, and I was like, man, this has to be too good to be true, right? And then, you know, knowing that, hey, it's powered by the Retro Tink, it's like, man, maybe this is going to be some good stuff right here, because I do like the Retro Tink. And I'm not knocking any of those devices. It's just, like I said, I don't want an octopus, you know, swarm of octopus cables all over the place and just distracting what I'm trying to do, having to move around component cables. Is it being lazy? Not necessarily. I just think for me, simple is better. And I'm just really digging using these. You know, the Neo Geo was a system where, man, you know, I really wanted to put in effort to have a dedicated setup for it. I have a 2-player arcade stick that I put together for this system. I play it quite often. I didn't grow up with the system. I don't know how many people who watch my channel did. I know there's a handful that I've talked to that, man, they loved it. But for me and plenty of others, it was out of reach. And now that I'm a big boy, it was the one system that I did not own growing up that I just had to have. And I had to have a little selection of games for it. Because even though I didn't have an AES in home, I played the MVS in the arcade all the damn time. And they're the same games. And it was like, man, having the arcade at home, this is amazing stuff. And there's a lot of these games I have so much nostalgia for. And I just had to grab a Neo Geo and find a good solution to having a dedicated setup. But now, you know, as time goes on, emulation's gotten better over the years. You know, there's nothing wrong with emulating Neo Geo on the Raspberry Pi or on your PC, or be it on your cell phone. I mean, I don't play games on my cell phone, but some people do. However you want to play these games, that is great. The Mister is a freaking excellent device that can replace consoles for people. For some people, they're just like, you know what? I've been getting rid of some of my consoles because Mister replaces them. For me, I get it, and if it was down to like I had to make that decision, I'm glad I have Mister, right? But there is something special to me about having cartridges and plugging them into an original console. I'm not a crazy collector. I don't own thousands upon thousands of games. I have a very modest collection of just the games that I want to play on these retro consoles. And having a solution like the RAD2X to just simply and easily plug it into a modern display, that's great because, you know, I've heard from so many people, just play it on a CRT. That's the way the system was meant to be played. I get it. That's your preference, not my preference. I have a very small little CRT and I do use it on occasion, but my preference is using these cheap, thin HD displays and plugging in my retro console and playing it that way. That is my preference. There's no arguing that. You can't tell me that your preference is better because guess what? That is your preference. I'm not here to force any of my thoughts and opinions on anybody. I'm just here to share my experiences. And I'm pretty sure most of you guys get that, but there's a handful who don't. I can already see it now. Why not just play on a Raspberry Pi? Why not play on this? Why not do that? Why not do this? Cool, man. That's your choice. And it was my choice too at some points, and I still do play that way. You've seen me play on the Neo Geo Arcade Stick Pro on different various devices. It's all about options, my friends. No right or wrong answers. So hey, just wanted to share this. Really love the Neo Geo. Really digging the RAD2X and the simplicity of it. For the cost behind it, I am very happy with what I am getting and the simplicity of just plugging it in to an HD TV and playing my games. So thanks for watching. And with that said, I will catch y'all next time. Peace out, bye-bye, and boom. Bye!